Hey guys, so for today's video, I'm going to do some mermaid aquarium nails. So to start off on two of the nails, the pointer and the ring, I wanted to do like a seashell design up at the nail bed area, and I started out by just going in with this like pearl color that I have from whatever that brand is called. I got it off of Amazon a couple years ago. I'll see if I can find it and link it down below. But I didn't really like how sheer it was, and I felt like I was gonna have to put a bunch of layers on it, and I kind of really didn't want to do that. So I decided to take the white from Ball Pit and lay a layer of that down first before going in with that pearl color. So I'm just taking my liner brush and drawing a line straight across the nail. I feel like it's better for me to do it this way rather than taking the brush straight out of the bottle and painting like that, like how I did on my Galaxy aquarium nail, where I just took the brush straight out the bottle and painted that nail bed area. I just feel like personally for me, using my liner brush to get that straight line going across first just makes it a little crisper and cleaner versus me using the brush straight out of the bottle. But then after I get that line on, I do take the brush straight from the bottle and just fill the rest of that in. And I did only do one coat of this, and I cured that for 60 seconds. And then after getting the white on, I just went back in with that pearl polish and added that right on top. It is hard to see like the pearl shine on camera, but you can really see it in person. You can see here on the brush that it does have kind of like a blue shimmer to it, which is really pretty. And like on the nail, it has that blue shimmer too. And like depending on the angle you're seeing it from, like you'll see it a little differently. Like some angles you won't really see that blue shift, and other angles you will. So it is a really pretty, like subtle type of finish. This is also one of those polishes that if you like take a liner brush or dotting tool or whatever and like swirl it around in there, or like do random designs in it, it will stay in place, and like you could have like really fun designs just like in your polish. But I didn't want to do that. I just left it how it looked once I applied it on to the nail. After that, I'm taking my matte top coat from Nails by Dev and applying that to that white area. I felt like, I don't know, I felt like it was gonna make it look a little more realistic, like a realistic type of shell, if I did the matte top coat on the base and then go in with the rhinestone glue to do like the seashell design and have that be shiny. I don't really think that worked the way that I thought it was going to. Also, I feel like, I don't know, it was a little difficult to tell the difference between the matte and the shiny, I feel like, in the end. But I mean, overall, it ended up looking really well. I just don't think it had the effect that I was going for. But the Nails by Dev matte top coat is a wipe off top coat, so you do have to wipe that off with some alcohol after you get it cured in order to bring out the matte effect of the polish. Now I'm just using the, what's it called? The Squeeze Gummy Jelly, I think, from Nail Couture to do the little like ridges on the seashell. And to do this, I just get a little glob at the end of my brush and just kind of like plop it onto the nail and then drag it up. Almost in the same way you would do like drips if you were doing like a drip nail, like a blood drip or slime drip or whatever. Kind of in the same way as that, but I'm not going to be connecting the lines together because they do need to be separate because they are separate on an actual seashell. And I was flash curing in between doing each line. That way it wasn't like leveling out and like spreading and flowing into the line next to it. And then once I got all the lines on, I did go ahead and do a full 60-second cure. And then after getting that done, I felt like it was kind of empty and needed a little something extra. So I took out these little like bubble pearls that I have, and I used a blue one, a pink one, and a purple one because those are going to be the colors that I'm using on the rest of the set. And I just put them up at the like meeting point of all those little like stripes that I did on the shell nail. And then after I got those on, I still felt like it needed something else. Like those 3 little bubble beads just didn't really do it for me. So then I pulled out my silver caviar beads and I just put them like in between the little bubble beads. I think I only used 3 of them, and it added a little bit to it, which was just what I wanted. Like, it wasn't too much, but it gave it that little bit of extraness that I was looking for. And then once I got all that on, I did go ahead and cure that for 60 seconds, and I did repeat that on the other shell nail, but I don't think I showed that. So after I got that done, I'm now moving on to the other 3 nails, and I'm going to use Candy Killer, Face Your Fears, and Peaches Peaches, all from Nails by Dev. They are all kind of the same like shimmery type of polish. So I'm just doing the same thing like I did with the seashell nails, where I draw the line across and then fill in the rest of that space. I want to say I ended up doing 2 coats of all of these colors, and I cured each coat for 60 seconds. I was actually thinking of doing like an ombre with them, but I felt like I didn't really have enough space to do a 3 colored ombre. up here on the nail bed area. I feel like if I were to do this on the entire nail, like we're painting the entire nail, that I would be able to do that and it would be really pretty. But yeah, I kind of just stuck with doing one color for each nail, and I had these 3 colors picked out. Originally I was only going to do one of them, but then once I had them all pulled out, like I couldn't pick which one I felt like was going to look the most like magical, I guess, or like give the most like mermaid type of vibes. I felt like they all fit pretty well with the mermaid theme, so I did end up just going with all 3 of them because why not? I feel like I do a mermaid set every year, at least for the past few years. I feel like I've been doing at least one mermaid set every year, and I feel like it's usually in June too, which is so random. I don't know, I guess June comes around and I think summertime, and when I think summer I think mermaids. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know, I guess we'll see if I come up with another mermaid set next year. But also, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really remember everything from this set because I did it a few weeks ago. So it's the end of April right now when I'm editing this and doing the voiceover, and I did this set like back in March. And you're not gonna see it until June. But yeah, usually I film like a month's worth, like I film a month ahead. So all of my May videos were filmed in March. All of my April videos were also filmed in March. Or wait, hold on. I'm getting confused on what month it is. Hold on. It's April, March. Okay, yeah. All of my April videos I filmed in March, but also all of my May videos I also filmed in March. Like, I don't know. I was on a roll in March when I was filming. And I ended up filming like 2 months worth of videos. But before I continue that story, I am using the Angel White Liner Gel from Ball Pit to create the little, like, what's it called? The scales on it, like the fish scales on what would be like the mermaid tail. I did wipe them off with alcohol before doing this, as you can see from the cloudiness on the clear part of the nails. I will show you how to get rid of that if that ever happens to you in a little bit. But yeah, I'm just going through and doing the scales, and honestly, this is the one thing that I hate the most about doing like mermaid nails, or like doing a anything with kind of scales, like a mermaid or snake or fish or whatever. Like, I really hate drawing on these little scales, but like I said, I always end up doing it every year. But anyhow, like I was saying, I do tend to film like a month's worth of videos the month before that they are all being seen. But like I said, in March, I was just like on a roll filming. I had a whole bunch of ideas and I just kept going and going and going. And then I completely ran out of space on my phone, so I had to stop, and like I've been editing them. I've spent all of April editing these videos to get them ready, and this is the last one that I have to edit, and then I can start filming again. So yeah, I don't know, it just works out a lot easier for me to like film all of my videos like a month before, because I do personally wear, like, whenever I do my own nails, I do wear them for about a month, and doing it this way allows me to be able to wear my nails for an extended period of time, instead of like most nail YouTubers and nail content creators, they will film like the same week and they'll like leave their nails on for like a week or so. I've tried doing that in the beginning, but it just really caused a lot of damage to my nails. My nails are already naturally very thin and brittle. They always have been. So just constantly taking nails off and redoing them just was causing a whole lot of damage. Also, I've never been successful in getting any kind of peel-off base to work, whether it's a DIY peel-off base coat or like an actual peel-off base coat that you could buy from like a brand or whatever. I never have successfully been able to get those to work for me. They always end up ripping up like layers of my natural nails, which is really bad. You obviously don't want to do that. So they were always just super damaged, and I finally figured out that I could film some videos, like pre-film a bunch of videos, and then still be able to wear my nails for, you know, the month. And then when I do take those ones off, I can film the videos for the next month and so on and so forth. So that's what I've been doing. That's how I'm able to wear my nails and like not have to worry about damaging my nails all the time, or like worrying about having to take them off, or like, you know, last minute filming or anything like that. But anyhow, after I got the scales on, I did not make you suffer and watch me doing all those scales because that takes so long. Plus I did it on 3 nails. I'm just taking that rhinestone glue that I have still on my palette, and I put it down along the edge of that because I really wasn't liking how those scales were looking down towards the bottom. They were kind of like mushed looking, and some of them weren't even like complete like scales. So I kind of wanted to hide those a little bit. So I took these little white pearls that I have and just put them on there. They fit with the mermaid theme, you know, pearls and like oysters and shells and stuff. It all goes. So after I got those on, I did go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. And I did do this also on the purple and the pink nail, but I don't think I showed it on camera because like you really only need to see me do it once. But anyhow, that cloudy bit, sometimes when you wipe nails off or nail tips off with alcohol, they do get cloudy. It's just like with how quickly the alcohol evaporates off of there, and like it leaves behind this cloudy residue or whatever. But to get rid of that, all you have to do is take some primer and apply that to the nails, and that cloudiness goes away. You do obviously have to apply like your top coat or a base coat or something, or even just like if you're doing a jelly polish on top, you do have to apply something on top of it. Because the primer does make the nail sticky after that. So something does have to go on top of it. But that is how you can get rid of that cloudiness if you ever do experience it. You do still see some of that cloudiness here on the thumbnail. That's because it's on the underside of the nail, which I deal with that later on. But also I felt like it really didn't matter either. I mean, I did go in and use the primer, and then I did have to top coat it because these are going to be aquarium nails, so that stickiness was going to make stuff stick. So I did have to top coat the underside of that one, but I probably honestly didn't really need to do it because I feel like probably once I got the oil in there, like it would have cleared up. But I wanted to be safe and make sure that it was going to actually be clear. But now you can see here I am applying my shiny top coat, and on the Mermaid scale nails, I top coated the entire nail, including the little pearls. You do want to make sure you top coat those pearls, whether it's the white pearls or the silver pearls or any other colored pearls, because that coating will chip off and then it's like a really ugly like gray color underneath. So if you are going to put those kinds of things on your nails, you do want to top coat those. And then for the seashell nails, because that's already, like, the seashell part is already top coated with the matte top coat, and it has that rhinestone glue, which is a no wipe rhinestone glue. I just top coated the clear bottom part, and then I went ahead, cured all those for 60 seconds. Now to build up the tanks, I'm using this rhinestone glue that I got from, what was I doing? Why was I off screen for so long? Anyhow, sorry. I'm just using this rhinestone glue that I got from Amazon. It is a really thick rhinestone glue. I do really like it for adhering like charms and rhinestones and stuff, because it really holds them on and they're not like sliding all over the place. I did do my candy junk nail with these, and I talked about that a little bit there. But this, like I said, this is a really thick rhinestone glue, and I'm just spreading it out on, this is the like sticker pack with the plastic still on it. I have used plastic like Ziploc bags previously. I've also taken like plastic wrap and wrapped it around like my palette or something. You know, whatever you have that's going to be a flat surface that you can spread this out on, that's not going to stick, that the gel isn't going to stick to. So like plastic or even silicone. I think I did that once actually. I have like a little silicone mold that I used the back of. I should have done that again this time. Anyhow, so ooh, I wonder if I could just put it right down on my silicone mat that's on my desk. I might have to try that out sometime. Anyhow, getting so sidetracked. Just laying this glue down, kind of just mapping out, trying to keep it so it's not going to be a whole lot of excess glue around the nail. And then I do hold the nail up to it to make sure that it's like the length of it is good and the width of it is good, and it's going to cover the entire back of the nail. And then once I get that all spread out, I do press the nail down into that glue. And for this set, I don't think I marked it out. I just went in and started painting the nails. But since I did paint the tops of them beforehand, I did want to do the tops first before getting the backings on, because it's really kind of difficult. Like, you can't really put the nails on your nail stands the way you normally would after you get these backings on. Like, you can't put it on the backing. You have to just put it in the nail bed area, and that kind of makes it a little difficult. So that's why I did the tops of the nails first before doing the tanks. But anyhow, I just pushed that down, and I used like the nail art part, the nail bed area, as my guide of how far up to take the tank, and like to place the nail down into that glue, so that it would, like, when I seal it up, that seal would be covered up by the nail art. Now I'm just going after I smushed the nail down into the glue, I did cure it for a full 60 seconds. And now that it's cured, I'm just taking my nippers here and going around and cutting off all that excess. I recommend using some sort of straight edged something like scissors, nippers, nail clippers to get all that off. And then if you need to go around and file a little bit, you can, but I personally don't recommend like filing all of that extra off. You want to try and get as close as possible to the actual nail itself with your trimming, because I feel like, at least in my experience, like all that filing leads to, like, has more potential for the backing to pop off, and then you have to redo stuff or like reseal it and whatever. So I definitely recommend to cut off as much of that as possible. That's why I say go in with the straight edge, because you can get right up next to it. And then I do seal in that larger space there up by the nail bed area, depending on if what you're putting inside of your tanks is going to fit in that space, that opening down by the free edge. Like if they don't fit, you're going to want to seal up the free edge part first, and then fill your tanks from the nail bed area, but that is a little bit more tricky to do once everything's filled up. But because I used the Gel X sculpted square tips, it leaves like a really big opening since they are super C-curved. It makes it a whole lot easier than like the non-curved nails or whatever, or nail tips. So after I get that sealed up, I did cure it for 60 seconds. Now I'm just taking some random things that I felt would fit well with the mermaid theme. I have these little bubble bead things that I got from Michael's and like the glitter section. I thought they were really pretty and really fun. That's actually what like inspired this set, are those little bubble beads, and there are different sizes of them. The bigger sizes weren't fitting in the tanks, like they were too big to get in there, so I had to use the smaller sizes of that. They are also different colors, like they're pink and purple and blue, which fit in with the theme, with like the colors that I used. And then I used these little plastic sequin thingies. I don't even really know what these are, to also put in there. I just used the like white iridescent ones. You can see here the bigger ones don't fit, like they didn't go in there, so I was having to make sure I was picking out the smaller ones. But anyhow, I just wanted a little more like reflection going on in there, and like when the light would hit, I wanted you to see like a flash of light, kind of the same way you would if you know, look at water, or if you're like underwater and there's like a flash of light go like, oh my gosh, I cannot talk. You know, the light hits something underwater, like a shell or maybe like a piece of debris or something, and you just see like a, you know, a flash of like shininess or whatever. So that's why I added those in there. And I did pull out those little like iridescent flakes too. I didn't put them in at this step. They're really hard to get into the tanks before you get the oil in. So that's why you're not seeing me put those in right now. I do use them, but I don't put them into the tanks until after I fill them up with oil. So here you're just seeing me fill them up with the little beads and these little plastic things. They're like plastic sequins or something, and they're like weird shapes. They're not like they're kind of triangle shaped, but they're not triangle shaped because like the points are cut off, but they're also kind of diamondy shape a little bit. I don't know, but they're really pretty, and they have like really pretty like iridescent reflex on all of them. I've never really used them before because they are such an odd shape, and I'm like, I don't really know like how to use them, or like, you know, how to make them look good on a nail. And I felt like putting them inside of an aquarium nail like is good for them. Like they would look really good in there, and they're gonna flow really well as well. So now I'm just taking my blunt tip syringe that I got off of Amazon, and it is filled with baby oil. You can use baby oil, cuticle oil, I think some people even use like glycerin. You could probably also use water, but I don't know, there's something about using water and why everyone recommends using oil instead of water. I don't know, but I've always used the oil. I started out using cuticle oil, and then I switched over to baby oil because I'm like, I need the cuticle oil for myself. And I just needed something that I could use specifically for doing aquarium nails. But anyhow, I just very slowly fill up the tanks to check for leaks and everything. As you saw, this one did have a leak there when I started filling it out, and you could see like the oil was dripping out. So I had to stop what I was doing and take the rhinestone glue and reseal that up. To make sure that the hole was fully sealed. And then once I did that, I was able to fill it up again. So that's why I say always go slow whenever you're filling your tanks with the oils, because if you go quickly and you just like squeeze it all in there, you're not going to notice it right away that it's not getting filled, and then you're just gonna have a ton of oil just spilling out. So it's better for you to just go slow and have a little bit of oil come out that you can clean up real quick and seal it up real quick, rather than having like an entire nail worth of oil spilling out all over the place. So as you can see here, I'm just taking my tweezers and dipping it into those iridescent flakes. Again, I only used the white ones. I didn't really want to add color to the tanks themselves, except for like with those little pearls, but even then I didn't want to add like a whole lot of color. I wanted it to just be pretty light, so that's why I went with the iridescent ones. The other ones would kind of add a little bit of color, which I mean really isn't that big of a deal, but it wasn't what I was wanting for this set. So I just take my tweezers, dip them into those flakes, and then dip it into the nail, and those flakes just come right off of the tweezers and float down into the tanks. That is the easiest way to get like these little flakes in there, or even like loose glitters, or like the chunky glitters, instead of trying to dump them in with like your cuticle pusher or something. Just take your tweezers. If they're not sticking to your tweezers at first, dip your tweezers into the oil in the tank, and then dip your tweezers into the glitter or the flakes or whatever you're doing, and then dip it back in, and just keep going back and forth until you have as much glitter or the little flakies that you want in there. That is honestly the easiest way to get these super lightweight type of glitter flake pieces to go inside of an aquarium nail with very minimal mess. And then once I get that filled in, I just take my rhinestone glue and apply that right there onto the nail. I don't make separate seals for them or anything. I just apply it right onto the nail. I've never had any kind of issue with the glue adhering or anything. It's always worked out really well for me. I do kind of go a little thick with it just to make sure that it is fully sealed, and then I do cure it for 60 seconds. Once it's cured, I do check to make sure that it is sealed, so I do hold the tip upright so I can see if anything's leaking out, and then also if I need to, I will file it down. And then I decided it was a little too plain and I wanted to add a little bit of something to it. So I took this color that I have from D&D, I don't know how to pronounce that, and just painted the backings of that. Apparently I only filmed myself painting one of the backs, and I didn't even show myself top coating the back sides of the nails after I did get that blue glitter on there, which I did only do one coat of that. I cured it for 60 seconds, then I top coated and cured for 60 seconds, and this is the finished result. It's kind of hard to see anything moving right now from the angle, but you can kind of see some of that stuff moving in there. I am really happy with this set. I think it is so pretty, and I really love that blue glitter that I decided to put on the back. Like, it really just makes it look like water with that in there, which I know I said I didn't want to add color to the tank part of the nail, but once I saw how clear and plain it was, I was like, I need to add a little bit of something, so that's why I went with that blue glitter. And that's why I only did one coat of it, to keep it pretty light and sheer. I didn't want to add too much of it, and I think one coat of it was perfect. Also, when filling the tanks, I do like to make sure there's not a bubble in there, because the bubble does like stop the pieces from moving inside of there. But overall, I do really love this set. It is so pretty. I think it's like the perfect like summer set, or even if you're going to the beach or something. Like, this is just a really pretty set. It came out very like magical and like mermaid like, which is exactly what I was going for. And the movement inside of the tanks is so good. Like, there are some pieces that are like sticking, which I feel like is typical when it comes to aquarium nails, but for the most part everything is moving in there and it just looks so cool. There are a couple small bubbles, which honestly the small bubbles don't bother me, but like the bigger the bubble, the more likely the stuff is going to get stuck inside of the bubble and like not move at all. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.